Hey friends, this is Sean Washburn from YourExcelTutor.com, and you're watching 30 Tips in 30 Days. And today's tip, we're going to get into our first function. And we're not going to do functions from here on out. We'll kind of bounce around, but I want to give you a taste of functions. So if you've never used functions, they're really great tools that Excel has already in there, and there's tons and tons of them. I've used Excel for about 25 years, and I know I haven't used all the functions that are out there. Sometimes it's just because you don't need to, and it's not something that is useful to you, but there's a lot of great ones, and they make your work a lot easier. So in this case, what we're going to do, we're going to use a function called if, and it is just it's comparing two things. So in this case, we've got this quiz. A guy named Bob is trying to get a job at this local pizza place, and he completed their quiz, and we're going to automatically grade his quiz. And then that way too, if we want to use it for someone else's answers, we'll put their answers in, it'll automatically calculate their grade. So in this case, the if statement is just comparing two different things and then giving you a result based on that. So one way to do it is you can either type in equals if, that's how you start any function. You're going to have an equals, and then the function name, and then parentheses like that. And that's how I start mine. But if you've never done it much before, or if you need a little help, you can click this button and it'll kind of walk you through. So in this case, if is one of our recently used ones. You can go down here and look through any kind of choices that they've got, or you can search for a function up in here. You can type in if and then hit go, and it'll find it that way. For us, it's already up here, so we're going to double click. We're going to hit OK. And what it shows you is how the function is kind of what makes up the function. So logical test, it could sound confusing, but that just means what are the two things that you're comparing? What do you want it to give you an answer on? So we're going to say this cell, and then we want that cell to equal this cell. That's what we're looking for. If they equal, do one thing. If they don't equal, do the other thing. So that's fine, and it already tells us that that's false, like those are not equal. So next we say, so if it's true, let's go ahead and put a 1 in here, and then if it's false, we're going to put a 0. So it walked us down through here. We'll hit OK, and the result is 0 like it should be. And if you ever want to double check your functions and things, if you click up in this box, it's going to show you color-coded which, what range is what, so that makes it really good. And also if you have really long functions, this really helps because it helps you keep things in check and knowing where things are. And also you can, at any point here, you can click inside the function and it'll show you kind of a little roadmap of where you are in the function. So if you click in here, it shows you what that is, and you can kind of walk your way through. So a lot of great ways to use the functionality there. And we're going to do something here. If you want to see this next step, how I do this, check out the tip number 19, which is coming up in a couple days on copying and filling. But I'm going to copy these really quick by clicking this bottom right corner. I'm going to drag them down. And so it copied that function. You can look here that each of these looks across the line that it's on. So row 8, that's looking at row 8. If I click up there, you see the row 8 stuff. So each of these calculated, and then at the bottom I had one called sum, and that's just summing up all these. And there's a lot of different ways you can sum. We can get into that in another tip, but just summing up all those answers. So his score is 6 out of 10, and you could even say, you could do like out of 10, and this is going to think that I'm doing a function, and I'm not. So 6 out of 10 could be a score, and then if you want to put someone else's answers in, it would automatically calculate that. So that's kind of a simple way to look at if. It's just comparing two things and telling you if whatever you put in that first part, if it's true, tell me, give an answer there. If it's false, give an answer there. And one thing about the if statement is you can have it just like this, or you can have what's called nested functions, nested ifs. And that just means that instead of having a 1 here, I could actually have another function. I could have, if this is true, then evaluate this other function, if this or whatever. And you can have this be true and this be true. You could have multiple things. So you can use lots of functions inside each other. And we might get into that near the end of the 30 tips in 30 days, as it gets kind of complicated. But once you understand it, it really provides a lot of functionality that can help you out. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the first tip on functions, and check in tomorrow for another tip.